Howdy. The following interview that I did with Josh Waller on the Israel Guys was filmed before October the 7th. It's about Itamar Ben-Gvir and about his policies for national strength and against jihadism, and it was filmed before that horrific attack. So the points here are all right. In fact, they're even righter, even more proven than people understood beforehand. But don't be surprised if you don't hear me mention the horrific attack of October the 7th, because it didn't happen yet when I filmed this video. But the point is, this stuff makes sense. This is the policy moving forward, the smart policy to keep Israel safe. God bless you guys, and here we go.
Itamar Ben-Gvir is actually, he's a very controversial figure.
Yes.
But his stances are anything but controversial.
No.
It's just that he's been framed as controversial by people who don't want to see, as you said, strong Jews, a strong Israel. He's very clear. He thinks this is the Jewish land, and that we shouldn't let terrorism run amok. We are going to now be post-Holocaust. We're not going to allow that to happen again.
We're not subject to that.
Right. We're going to defend ourselves this time.
Yeah.
We're going to stop that kind of terrorism from hurting us too much.
All right, guys, I'm here with a really good friend, Yishai Fleisher. We've had the great honor of doing a lot of great projects together. Yishai is the international spokesperson for Hebron, as well as the advisor. I say as well as the advisor to Ben-Gvir. Maybe that should have been first. That's like the seemingly big job that you do. It's like advisor to Ben-Gvir is actually a pretty serious position. Zionist people that really appreciate a strong Israel, appreciate Jews strong in their homeland, are actually real friends of Itamar Ben-Gvir. People that are on the sidelines of that, those that are a little bit like not so sure that they want to see Jews in Judea and Samaria, not so sure they want to see Jews defending themselves, are a little bit on the sidelines of, is Itamar Ben-Gvir, is he a little bit too radical? Is he being a little too Caleb-like down in these regions? Maybe this is bringing a biblical character in for a little more political modern times. But being an advisor to Itamar Ben-Gvir, describe your job there, and then we'll talk a little bit more in depth about some of the things that we're seeing today.
Well, first thing is that the story of Caleb and the spies is a political story.
Sure.
It's a biblical story, but it's a biblical story about Jewish politics and dealing with dissenters and fearful people and people that were against. Remember, Joshua and Caleb were seen as bad by the other spies, and they were besmirched along with the land of Israel, and they almost killed them. Wow. It says the verse says that they prepared rocks to almost stone them to death. So you know.
So you're saying there may be some more similarities, maybe more.
The Bible's there to teach us about real things.
Wow.
And about real politics. It's certainly for us, especially the book of so-called Numbers. I don't like that name. We call it In the Desert. Right. The book of Numbers is a book of Jewish politics. It's a book of issues, political issues. Itamar Ben-Gvir is actually, he's a very controversial figure.
Yes.
But his stances are anything but controversial.
No.
It's just that he's been framed as controversial by people who don't want to see, as you said, strong Jews, a strong Israel. He's very clear. He thinks this is the Jewish land, and that we shouldn't let terrorism run amok. His main thing is personal security. Yeah. His main thing is that he's the law and order guy. His main thing is terrorists in jails should not be living in a Hilton. Okay, they should not be, and they certainly shouldn't be calling out for more terrorism. You murdered a Jew, you should not be like living the good life. Right. So that's one. The other thing is personal security. Israelis should be armed. If there's terrorists who are armed, Israelis should be armed. Jews should be armed. So these are like very plain and simple things that he's asked for. And he actually went out on a real political limb, and what he wanted to do was to be the Minister of National Security, which is really another name for Minister of Police. And that is one of the hardest, thought of as one of the worst ministries in the government. Because the police, as the police are in many countries around the world, it's an unruly lot, sometimes corrupt, sometimes problematic. And he wanted to get in there. He told his voters, I'm here to help you. I said to him, at the time where he was negotiating for which ministry, I said to him, maybe take a smaller ministry, like a tourism ministry, and later on become this ministry. He's like, no. He's like, I ran on this platform. My platform that I ran on is personal security. Post-Holocaust, We're not going to allow that to happen again.
We're not subject to that.
Right. We're going to defend ourselves this time.
Yeah.
We're going to stop that kind of terrorism from hurting us too much.
So what I find really interesting is that
I meant by too much is that if there's a terrorist attacker, okay, maybe he got a round off, but that's the end of that. And then if he got away, we're going to find him.
Right.
We're going to hunt
We'll
him
track him
down.
down. He's done.
And they know that. I mean, just that Israel can hunt down terrorists. Think about it. It's a tiny Jewish state. We have 7 million Jews amongst a region of 400 million Arabs. And we are an armed ethnic minority. By the way, I just want to say that phrase that I just said, an armed ethnic minority, that's a very important phrase that a lot of people just don't understand. Israel is a nation state of the Jewish people who are an armed ethnic minority in the region. Say it that way, you'll understand what we're talking about here. Say it that we're Jewish and democratic and all these kind of things that confuses everybody. Just say the truth. We're an armed ethnic minority like the Kurds. Like the Kurds. We're out here defending ourselves from a majority, part of which is jihadists. Okay? That's what it's about.
So everything you talked about so far, I'm pretty sure most people in the anti-Ben-Gvir camp would agree with. That's right, right? Most people are for approach. They're not going to say they're for weakening Israel. They're not for weak Israel. They would agree on most of these main topics, but I think they've demonized Ben-Gvir on issues that Ben-Gvir is not really about. Is that correct? They've taken subjects that Ben-Gvir is not actually his main line. For say, many people think that Ben-Gvir hates Christians, but Ben-Gvir doesn't do a lot with Christians. That's not his main. His main thing is the things that you outlined. So his main objective is not he doesn't talk about Christians. He doesn't know a lot about this Christian Zionism, these kind of things. So I think there's been a few things that have happened along the way that news outlets took a big jump on Ben-Gvir for maybe a few specific stories where Ben-Gvir worked on a case for some people, but that's what lawyers do. Lawyers represent whoever pays them. That's what law firms do, and they have to represent these people. So would you say anything to just that? I want to clear that up with the channel. We have a lot of Christian listeners. Most of them think that Itamar Ben-Gvir really hates them. Do you have any words to say about that? Just to clarify that point. As an advisor to Itamar Ben-Gvir, you know him well, you know his policies, you know what he's about. Maybe just a clarification on some of those things for our Christian folks.
These are important questions. Israel, as I said before, is a minority, an ethnic minority in this region. Within that ethnic minority are other minorities. Okay, Christian Arabs, Druze, Cherkessi, all kinds of minorities that are out here. Itamar Ben-Gvir is not concerned so much with religious questions. He's concerned with law and order. Law and order. And he is not interested in seeing anybody out of line or anybody striking at residents, citizens, visitors. He wants to see law and order. He wants to see the end of kind of Wild West mentality where jihadists are gathering weapons. There's about 400,000, our police estimates about 400,000 weapons, illegal weapons, in the hands of Israeli Arabs.
Israeli Arabs.
Israeli Arabs.
Wow.
Not to mention Judea and Samaria. Now, with regard, but I want to touch your question. Nobody here wants to see any violence against Christians, against any minorities that come here. That is simply, it's against the law. It's against the Jewish law. And it's against the interests, because we are not interested in destabilization. You're right that he's not the champion of Christian Zionism, or that's not him at all. You're right. He is here to help the average Israeli Jewish citizen feel safe and have their safety back. Oh, and there's another big issue, which is protection rackets. Protection rackets. Arabs and Bedouins run these mafia-style protection rackets throughout the South and the North, and so making laws that make protection rackets more illegal, more criminalized, and making sure that there's going to be prosecution of these kind of people. That's what he's about. That's what he promised his voters. Okay, but at the same time, I want to tell you, it's not in his heart so much to think about the life of pro-Israel Arabs or pro-Israel Christians. That's not what he's about, and that's not whose voter base is. But when a Bedouin soldier was killed in a terrorist attack, he came to that family and he made sure to give them respect and honor. And there's a great video of him talking. And the same thing with Christian folks. He has made it clear. He is here to protect the people.
Israel's best politicians, Bible-based. What? Everybody that's listening is like, wait, Ben-Gvir's Bible-based? He's the most Bible-based politician in the whole crew. One of the 100%. Most, right? 100%. Hardcore Bible-based. So we need more Bible-based politicians, and Ben-Gvir is a great one.
A few things about what you're saying. First thing is that you use the word extreme and hardcore in a positive sense.
Right.
And a lot of people today have been used to this idea that these are bad words.
Right,
hardcore is like hard line.
Right.
That's actually a good thing.
Like
I hardcore love my country. I hardcore want to protect this land. I hardcore don't want to see people be hurt anymore and be terrorized. So just that language itself, that is very healthy to be like, no, actually we are passionate about these things.
Right.
Okay?
Passionate about protecting Israel.
Passionate about protecting Israel. And here I want to make a very important point. This is such
and we'll wrap up at this point.
Okay. When you talk about Ben-Gvir, people say like, oh my God, there's like this extreme minister in Netanyahu's government. Yeah. That so-called extreme minister was elected by the people.
It's true.
It's not that there's a guy and he showed up and here I am. It's what the people want. Yeah. The people want protection. Yeah. Regular people elected him.
Right.
Okay. And not, by the way, just in Judea and Samaria, not just very observant religious folks, actually people in the periphery, in the Beersheba area, in the south and the north, where they feel the brunt of the attacks on them. And so he's a representative of a people's will to live in safety. So don't be demonizing him. If you're going to be demonizing him, tell the truth. You're demonizing Jews that want a strong Israel.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's call him for what it is.
And a majority. And an elected process that 100%. Elected him.
Absolutely.
It's a great point.
Absolutely.
We've got a lot of, here's the good news. Ben-Gvir is just the beginning because the people of Israel, the demographic is changing. Right. And that, therefore, the politics are changing. We're electing people that are more Bible-based. We're electing people more connected to Zionism and seeing the people settle even in Judea and Samaria and being strong. And all of these things of which Christians should be loving and accepting. That this is fantastic. So this is only going to continue more and more in Israel, and the world better just get used to it because politicians, this is a will of the people, and we would like for Israel to continue to be a great democracy.
All right, thank you to the Israel guys for having me on. This is an awesome show, and the show keeps going, broadcasting from the land of Israel. If you want to connect with me, it's easy enough. Yishai Fleisher on Twitter, on Facebook, and my weekly podcast, The Yishai Fleisher Show, and it's God's blessings from this good land to you wherever you are. So bless you, and thank you for being part of it.